What's going on today, guys? Welcome to the channel. Today I have a watch to show you guys that has one of the coolest, most convenient features I've ever seen on a watch before. You guys ever gotten a watch and had to wait a few days because you had to go to your jeweler to get it sized? Yeah, I've been there before too. The watch I'm going to show you today has a quick release link bracelet, which honestly is just so cool, and I think it's a really awesome and innovative feature from a Chinese watch brand under $200. It's unbelievable what they're doing. So without any further ado, let's go ahead, dive down, and take a look at this thing. So the watch we're looking at today, guys, is the Addiesdive AD2112, aka the Rolex Explorer homage. As you can see, it's very similar to the Explorer. Some slight differences, but we'll take a look at those in a second. Let's see what it comes with. So here's the box. You get one of these black Pelican style boxes, same as San Martin, Seastern, Chronos. So nice packaging. I like these boxes because if you need to take your watch on the go and you don't have a watch roll, then they're definitely really handy. So you get a hang tag, you get warranty card, it's not dated or signed, and you get this Addiesdive user manual. Now, I've replaced the clasp. I had a milled clasp lying around. We'll get into the clasp in a little bit, but this is the clasp that came on it, and then here's some spare links because I did size this already. So here it is. This watch has a 39mm diameter. It has 12.5 millimeters of thickness, and I scuffed this up a little bit already. 20mm lug width, and it has a 48mm lug to lug. The bracelet tapers from 20mm down to 16 at the clasp. Nice taper. Specs on this: it is all 316L stainless steel, and that's the case, the crown, the bezel, the case back, the bracelet, and the clasp. It has a top hat sapphire crystal with clear anti-reflective coating. It has a screw down crown, a screw down case back, 100 meters of water resistance. It has a Seiko NH38 automatic movement with hand winding and hacking, and it has a quick release link bracelet. The price on this is $179 from Amazon or from AliExpress, although I do recommend getting it from Amazon because it's only 2 or 3 days shipping, and you can always return it a lot easier than on AliExpress if you have any issues with it. It also comes in a Snowflake Dial with the snowflake hands and like a maxi style dial layout. So you can I'll put up a picture of that one for you, and it comes in a matte blue and this gloss black dial. Both of them do. So the dial is a gloss black dial, which I think is a really nice change from a lot of companies doing matte black, because it's definitely more true to the original Explorer, and it just looks better in my opinion. You have all applied indices. You have the triangle at 12, the 3, 6, and 9 applied numerals, and you have batons at all the other indices. Addiesdive, the logo, and the script is printed on the dial, and then you have automatic and 100 meters down there at the 6 o'clock, and that's also printed. The crystal is a top hat sapphire crystal with AR coating, and it's really nice. It's a very clear crystal. You get very little distortion except for around the edges because of that top hat, but it's very, very nice. Definitely didn't cheap out on the crystal. These are not cheap. The bezel is fully polished. You can see the sides and the top are nicely polished. Finishing on this watch is great, and we'll get to that later, but yeah, looks really good. The crown is a little bit small. It is a screw down crown, and the threading is very nice, very smooth, but it's hard to do, especially with gloves on, because of how small it is. It's a 5.5 millimeter crown, and it's just a little too small compared to something like the San Martin. It had a much nicer sized crown. I think that was 6.5 or 7 millimeters. I'm not 100% sure, but it was significantly bigger and is much easier to grip and function. But it does have a nice laser engraved logo, and it certainly looks good, and it's comfortable to wear because it's smaller. But functionality wise, it's definitely a little too small. The case shape and finishing, so you have your traditional oyster case here, and it's very nice, and the finishing is very, very good. I would say it's similar to a San Martin level finishing, but not quite as good. But yeah, they did a really good job. You can see you have vertical brushing on the top and polishing on the sides. There's no chamfered edge or anything, but the transition is really nice and very clean. And it matches really, really well with the bracelet too. Sometimes you'll see a color difference, or you'll see a different brushed pattern on the bracelet and the case, but this seems to match up really nicely. This bracelet is fully brushed on the surface here, the top surface, and then it's polished on the side. So it matches the case perfectly because you have the brushed on the top and the polished on the sides. Looks really great. And like I said, the finishing is very well matched, and the fit is really good on these end links. So just the smallest amount of play, but definitely nothing to worry about. And like we talked about, this has a quick release style link system. So, those ones are too high. So this one, you can see it's spring loaded here. So when I pull that out, it'll just spring right back into place. But if I pull that out and move it, I could just slide that right out just like that. And then if I want to take the link off, get this next one, slide that out. Oops. Put that aside, and it's a little hard to do with gloves on and on camera, but you can see how simple they make this. Just slide that in, pull that spring-loaded thing back on, and there you go. I just think that's super cool. I don't know about you guys, but bracelets, when I first got into watches before I had all these tools, it was such a pain. I hated having to go to a jeweler to get my watch sized. And some of them are just really complicated, and if you don't have the right tools, you can't really do it with anything from around the house. So this is just such a great idea. I don't know why companies haven't thought of this earlier, but just really awesome feature. So here's the clasp that it came with, and it's pretty much the same looking clasp as the one that I have on here, as you can see, but difference is this one is milled, this one is pressed. So I'll show you what it looks like, and it's just very thin pressed metal. It's really cheap, and it's very rattly. It's definitely the biggest problem with this bracelet, the only problem with this bracelet that I can see. So you can buy these, like a milled clasp like the one I just put on there, on AliExpress for $6. And if you want to get a nicer one, you can spend 15 or 20, and it's gonna improve this watch tremendously. The case back, as you can see, is a solid stainless steel case back, and you have some writing on there, and then you have the Addiesdive logo. So nice job on that. Would have maybe liked to see a display case back, since this only does have 100 meters of water resistance, but you know, can't have it all, and I think it looks nice. Now the movement in this is the Seiko NH38, and if you guys aren't familiar with the NH38, you probably know about the NH35, which is the date version of this movement. This is just the no date version. So it's nice to see that they actually put the no date version in this watch, because most companies will just use an NH35 and just cover the date up with the dial. So it's annoying because you'll have an extra function in here. You'll have that date setting click, and with this one you don't. It's just one click. So it's very nice that they did that. It just shows attention to detail, and it's a great movement. Of course, if you know about the NH movements, they're awesome, and if you don't, they are 21,600 beats per hour. They hack and they hand wind. They have 41 hours of power reserve. They're reliable, well proven workhorse movements that have been around for years now and are just great budget movement. The lume on this is BGW9 Super Luminova, and it's very well applied. You can see it shines very bright, and it's definitely going to last a long time. It's very comparable to the San Martin, and maybe not quite as many layers as the San Martin, but it's very close. It's not going to be a huge noticeable difference, and it's definitely going to work as it's intended to work. So definitely a nice job on the lume by Addiesdive. Wrist shot. I have this custom watch that I built. I actually didn't even mean to put the Seiko on there, but it looks good. It's a Tiffany blue dial. You have the snowflake hands. It's an NH35 movement. And yeah, I built this all for right around $100. I love it. So here it is on wrist, guys, and it looks so good. It wears incredibly well, and even with the other clasp on there, it does still wear really well. It's just, you know, it can be a little bit rattly, and it's just not a very secure feeling clasp. So definitely, like I said, once again, I highly recommend changing out the clasp if you buy this watch. But yeah, it just wears fantastic. Beautiful, looks beautiful, feels beautiful. Just really nice. Really excellent finishing on this watch too. And if you guys want to see how I make a watch like this, just let me know. I'll make a video of that. I buy the parts from AliExpress and I just build the watch, put it together. It's only a couple parts. It's really not too difficult to do as long as you have the right tools. So yeah, let me know, guys, if you want to see a video like that. So pros and cons. Well, obviously the quick release link style system is definitely going to be a pro. It's just awesome to see that, especially at a watch at this low of a price point. It's just ridiculous. Really cool, and it definitely sets this one apart from a lot of others that are competing with it. Finishing is fantastic on this watch, and like I said, I did scuff it up a little bit, but that's just my fault. The finishing is really good. Polishing is very clean. No peaks and valleys or anything like that. The brushing is that satin-like brush. It really looks good. Yeah, just phenomenal job on the finishing. The movement is definitely a pro. I like that they went with the no date version. It just makes the ease of use much better, and yeah, just it makes more sense. Attention to detail. I like it. The dial is really nice. I like that gloss black dial. Definitely a big fan of that. And the crystal. Crystal is a huge pro. Really nice piece of crystal there. The cons are definitely going to be the clasp and the crown. Obviously that pressed clasp is just horrible that they have on here, and the crown is just a little too small. But those are really the only two cons I can think of. The last con that maybe I could think of, and some of you might not even view this as a con, is I think that the logo could have been a little bit smaller. I think it's just a little too big. It's not really proportionate to the rest of the watch, but it doesn't bother me. So that's a very minor con, and like I said, some of you might not even view that as a con. This watch has really exceeded my expectations. The quick release link bracelet alone made me buy this thing, but that's not the only reason I like this watch so much. That gloss black dial really pops, and it's definitely true to the original Explorer. The crystal is very high quality. The bracelet is extremely comfortable and feels very quality, and it doesn't have a ghost date position because they used the correct movement. So overall, I gotta say this watch is very close to San Martin level quality, and it's at a much lower price with some cooler features too. So don't get me wrong, I love my San Martin still, but this Addiesdive is definitely a really impressive alternative. So that's gonna wrap up the review, guys. So remember to hit that like and subscribe button, and go ahead and hit that bell icon if you want to be notified when I release a new video. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and remember to keep watching out.